All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakodash, and double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. As you see right here, this article is from the RT, and it reads, Brits stealing food Brits stealing food to sell on the black market. And so this just goes to show you how drastic and how serious the times are getting. You know, people are stealing food and just to sell it because the prices in the stores are too high. You know, that this is happening in the UK. So how much more when this starts to happen in America, man? You know, it says shoplifting has hit a record high in the UK. The UK's cost of living crisis is fueling a record surge in shoplifting as people increasingly turn to the black market for food. And this is important to note that though this is happening in the UK, this does not mean that it's not going to happen in the U.S. For one thing that just happened at the start of this in January is you just had 20 states, I believe it was 20 states or 23 states that just increased their minimum wage, to $20, man. Which people, they celebrate that, but they don't understand that once minimum wage is set as a higher number for everyone, the cost of living goes up as well. It's not like, they just get the $20 an hour and then, everything, the economy stays as it is. And even your fast food prices are going to go up now, Hey, it was a video that a man in a restaurant said, hey, your common burrito that was $15, the meal, that was 15. Hey, well, since the minimum wages went up to 20, now that same burrito and meal is $17. And that $2 increase may not seem like a lot, but that's going to apply exponentially to everything. Whether it be gas prices, whether it be a cost in rent, whether it be your food, bills, car payments, interest rates are also going to go up more. Everything goes up when minimum wage goes up as well. So that dollar that you think is now going to be able to stretch, and you're going to see that you're still going to be below that poverty line, man, regardless of how much you're making. And it's also going to inflate the dollar to a sense that you're really going to see how worthless your currency is, man. Right? So it says estimates by the British Retail Consortium show that retail thefts cost the industry 1 billion pounds. It says $1.3 billion in 2023. It reached its highest level since records began, while the number of unresolved incidents has also risen. But these people, going out and risking their freedom to steal food and sell it goes to show you that there's a famine, an engineered famine that's coming as well, man. Because when people can't eat, they find ways to get that food, And this is because they can't eat due to, their funds, which is still a famine. So they're trying to find other ways in order to eat. So what happens when E locks down these stores and makes it impossible for the people that's stealing to steal? Then what happens? They break into these stores, and once the food is gone, then what? They turn to other things like cannibalism, which is going to be back in America, man. It says, according to the report, the items most commonly stolen are meat, cheese, and sweets. Which is really just the diet of Americans, Meat, which the scriptures tell you excess of meats bring forth sickness. Cheese is high in mucus, and sweets give you diabetes and other, health-related issues. People ain't stealing greens, even if the greens were cheaper, things, and not talking about mustard greens and shit that Jake eat. I mean, like your kales, your healthy foods. Even if those were cheaper, Jake still wouldn't buy it. Because Jake's palate isn't able to, to eat those things, man. Because they're so acidic. Not the foods themselves, but Jake's system is acidic. If it was if the price point for, let's say a bushel of leafy greens or herbs was $3.50, and then you got a bag of chips that's $4, $4.50, guess what? People still gonna buy them bag of chips, man. They're not gonna buy the greens, man. But nevertheless, they're buying the commodities or the victuals that people want the most. These are also seen as comfort foods: meats, cheeses, sweets. It says, which are typically considered high-value goods that can be resold. The items are being stolen in large quantities from shops and trucks in order to be sold to people hit by soaring prices. And so it's a matter of time before your places like your wholesale markets, your Costco's, your what's the other one? Sam's Clubs, Trader Joe's, so forth and so on. And it's only a matter of time before these places, get hit by these people stealing and looting. It says the cost of living crisis has made people think of alternative ways of sourcing items that are essential to them. Shops that had not previously faced shoplifting reported that thieves were clearing whole shelves in seconds. I think that's because the black market has gotten so much bigger, right? And people are trying to, steal to support their family or sell, to support their family. So they're going to whatever measures in order to do it. It says they want to start the elimination of food banks. Claims it is unsurprising that people are obtaining food through criminal means. And I don't see why that's unsurprising. Hey, when the people are being choked to death, they're going to find ways to survive, and that's in any society. It says means as important nutritional foods have essentially rocketed in price, which is true. Esau does make the most healthiest things the most expensive things for you. It says food poverty in the UK could particularly acute at this time of year, with food banks providing only essentials that are generally not particularly attractive or nutritional. When money is tight, when they've spent a long time saying no to other family members, the opportunity to buy something a bit more premium and high-end with ask no questions, and off the back of a lorry, as it were, is appealing. A recent report by the UK Competition and Markets Authority showed many popular groceries suppliers have been pushing up prices by more than their cost, fueling so-called greedflation and making excessive corporate profits. The study found that over the last 2 years, around 3/4 of branded suppliers and products such as infant formula, baked beans, mayonnaise, and pet foods have increased their unit profitability, and in doing so have contributed to higher food price inflation. It said they also indicated that food price inflation in the UK continues to be at historically high levels, despite falling to 10.1% in October. So obviously, what they're telling you isn't lining up with the behaviors of the people. Right now let's get into it, because this is engineering a famine, and the scriptures clearly tell you that there shall be famines, in the cities, man. Now whether it be engineered famines by Esau, destroying, it's like by buying out farmers' land and then destroying crops, planting GMOs, euthanizing livestock and chicken and so forth and so on, because that's what he does. He destroys produce, natural produce, and then he replants GMO seeds, and then he creates lab meat, and then all these processed goods, man. This is how Esau gets down. But nevertheless, man, this is an engineered famine, whether, it was Esau doing it himself or people stealing in order to get, because when people aren't able to buy, they resort into drastic measures. So let's grab some scriptures. I'll save this one. There's Ezekiel 4, because it's speaking of a famine, that our people have to deal with. There's Ezekiel 4, siege of Jerusalem. I'm gonna start here at 8, 7. Therefore thou shalt set thy face toward the siege of Jerusalem, and thine arm shall be uncovered, and thou shalt prophesy against it. And behold, I will lay bands upon thee, and thou shalt not turn thee from one side to another, till thou hast ended the days of thy siege. Take thou also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and fitches, and put them in one vessel. And like you see how puts locks, in certain stores like CVS and pharmacies, he locks up certain items in order to stop thieves from breaking into. It wasn't nothing for him to do the same thing in these grocery stores, man. Putting bars around certain produce and things of such, just so the general populace can't get to it. You may have to ring a bell to grab this. That's what they do in Walmart now with certain products, as I said before, CVS. So we understand it's coming down to a point where the things will not be as accessible. So he is cutting off the accessibility to goods, man. Ultimately, because people can't afford it anymore, So it's going to cause them to steal it, right? So what happens when you can't steal? hey, you start going into your neighbor's house. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab that. This is second Esdras 15. And I'll start here at I started at 11. It says, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." And one of the plague of Egypt was locusts. Now, understanding what locust does, they destroy crops, man. So it causes what? A lack of bread or a famine. Continuing 12, "Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail and with a fearful constellation," right? Not being able to yield forth crops. "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able," right? And that's speaking of, martial law checkpoints, so forth and so on. Hey, the precept 16 is speaking of civil wars, right? And people rebelling against their government. 18, "For because of the pride of their city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods." Why? Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, not being able to eat, man. Right? So we know it's coming. This, going back to Ezekiel 4. 9, "Take thou also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and fitches." Right? And this is rationing. "And put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof, according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon thy side. 390 days shalt thou eat thereof. And thy meat, which thou shalt eat, shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day. From time to time thou shalt eat it. Thou shalt drink also water by measure, the sixth part of an hin. From time to time shalt thou drink it." And that's the point, man. From time to time. Hey, these people are already struggling financially. Hey, so they're not able to eat as much meat as they once were. They're not able to eat the sweets that they once ate. So understand that the Food and Drug Administration are one and the same. And all the food that you're eating, is all processed food, man. So what you're not able to eat is going to affect your mind because it's all chemicals. It's all chemicals. So people are going to start doing some crazy bugged out stuff because they're not able to get the types of food they were once eating. Even if it means resorting onto cannibalism, man. Because the scripture speaks about that. Let's grab it. "And that which is then is that which shall be." And there's no new thing under the sun, as the scripture tells us. This is coming from 2 Kings 6. And 25. "And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver." Right now, the head of the animal is the least desired piece, and you see it was sold for 80 pieces of silver, right? And the fourth part of a dove's dung, which is just the manure, right, was sold for 5 pieces of silver, in hopes that something could be planted. But still at that time, you still have to wait for a plant to grow. It says, "And as the king of Israel," and actually an economy, it was a country in South America, whose economy was boosted by selling guano, which is a bird poop, manure. It says, "And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord did not help thee, when shall I help thee?" Basically, if the Lord didn't help you, how can I? It says, "Out of the barn floor or out of the wine press?" And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today. Now imagine what state, these women had to be in order for, just that thought to cross their mind. It shows you that no food was available. Right? To the point where you thinking you have to eat your child. This is going to be back in America, man. It says, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son, that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. And it came to, that's the point. That's the point. But nevertheless, you see it. And even in Lamentation, the scriptures speak about the famine. You know? Hey, but this is what's happening in UK, and it's going to happen soon in America, man. Hey, and the prophets told you first by the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. You know, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the body. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakodash. A double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS Great Millstone. And a sincere shalom to Yakim bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.